Violetta Prigozhina, the mother of the head of the Wagner PMC Yevgeny Prigozhin, gave an interview to Fontanka on the 2-year anniversary of her son's death. Media collected the main quotes from the interview about the life of Putin's chef. The Wagner PMC mutiny began on July the 23rd, 2023. After the capture of Bakhmut and repeated complaints about problems with supplying his troops, Prigozhin accused the Defense Ministry of shelling the PMC positions. The next day, Wagner mercenaries effectively captured Rostov-on-Don, and Prigozhin announced the start of a march on Moscow. All this time, Russian President Vladimir Putin did not comment on the mutiny in the ranks of his army. When we saw each other before the march, which is certainly not a riot, I told him, "Zhenya, you will only be supported on the internet. No one will go with you. People are not like that now. No one will go out to the square," Prigozhin's mother says. As Violetta adds, the so-called Prigozhin March failed because of her son's reluctance to shoot young cadets. At the same time, the Wagner PMC is also known for holding public executions. Prigozhin himself commented on them without condemnation. According to the mother of the head of the Wagner PMC, her son did not want to overthrow Putin, and the downed planes during the riot were an accident and a provocation. Violetta says the goal of the march on Moscow was an attempt to get through to the military leadership. According to her, Prigozhin thought he would come to Vladimir Vladimirovich and tell him what was happening at the front. When I last saw him on August the 15th, I can say that it was like doom. And on the 23rd, he was gone. Violetta says about her communication with her son after the end of March. Prigozhin died in the skies over the Tver region. The plane carrying the former head of the Wagner PMC crashed under unclear circumstances 2 months after the mutiny. Among the versions is the destruction of the plane by an anti-aircraft gun, which is suggested by holes in the skin of the fallen side. Putin, commenting on Prigozhin's death, called him a man of a difficult fate. Prigozhin's mother speaks briefly about her son's death in an interview. According to her, nobody knows what happened to the plane of the former head of the Wagner PMC. The investigation, the authorities claim, is underway. As Violetta says, her family bought the land at the crash site and is now installing a monument to Prigozhin there. Violetta also told how the future head of the PMC Wagner grew up. Prigozhin's mother notes that he became an authority in the prison environment, despite the fact that, according to her stories, the former head of the PMC Wagner was often in solitary confinement for fights. He was released from prison early in 1990 after 9 years in prison for good behavior and work. As Violetta Prigozhina says, in the 1990s, her son first completed massage therapy courses, but later went to college, which he dropped out of in an attempt to earn money. Prigozhin opened a kiosk where he first sold cutlets and then, on the advice of his family, switched to hot dogs. Bandits were doing all this back then, as you understand. The same people handed over the business to him, says the mother of the former head of the Wagner PMC. Later, it was in Prigozhin's New Island restaurant that Vladimir Putin held his meetings with world leaders. It was there that the future head of the Wagner PMC met the Russian president and, thanks to these connections, received contracts to organize meals for the military and school children.
Ukrainian strikes on Russian oil refineries have disabled a significant share of processing capacity, leaving the country grappling with a gasoline shortage. Wholesale fuel prices in Russia have hit record highs. Shortages are being recorded across several regions following Ukrainian drone attacks on refineries. In response, Moscow suspended gasoline exports in an attempt to keep fuel on the domestic market. The measure, however, has failed to contain soaring prices or alleviate the deficit. In this case, Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak will hold another meeting on the situation in the oil products market on August 25. According to one of the sources of Interfax agency, the Russian Deputy Prime Minister is asking the company executives to attend the meeting. The previous meeting with the administration and oil companies took place on August 14. According to sources, the meeting is expected to discuss the current repair work at oil refineries and the harvest campaign, the need to ensure sufficient fuel supplies, including through the use of oil residues and other tools, and the functioning of the market during a period of increasing demand. The forecast for the dynamics of price changes at gas stations by the end of the year will also be reviewed, taking into account the expected decrease in inflation and the situation with the transportation of oil products by rail. Following a meeting on August 14, Novak supported the Energy Ministry's proposal to extend the ban on gasoline exports until September, including for producers, and until October for non-producers of petroleum products. There has been no official decision on extending the ban yet. The Deputy Prime Minister also instructed the Ministry of Energy and the Federal Anti-Monopoly Service, together with the St. Petersburg Stock Exchange, to develop long-term measures to stabilize prices in the wholesale market. According to observers, the main reason for this is the successful strikes by Ukraine on Russian oil refineries and fuel depots. Since the beginning of August, Ukraine has managed to inflict heavy blows on 4 large oil refineries, 1 fuel depot, and several fuel trains. This means that, together with the refineries that are on preventive and forced repairs due to the strikes, more than 2 million barrels of fuel per day are being removed from the domestic market. In such conditions, even a complete ban on exports does not allow stabilizing the situation. The Russian Energy Ministry said the price rise was due to high seasonal demand in agricultural works, and supported extending the ban to September as well, without mentioning Ukrainian strikes or any repair work on refineries. The fuel shortage is the most acute in Russia's south and far east, as well as in the parts of Ukraine held by Russian troops, local authorities said.